So I think a lot of people are going to be upset because the lack of activity from the Chicago Bears, expecting a little bit more, Sammy. They thought like, hey, we would go out, swing for the fences. And I think that right now they're taking a pretty measured approach. And I saw somebody who was like, hey, at least Ryan Pace would swing for the fences. I'm like, yeah, how did that really work out? Ultimately, it resulted in no playoff wins, if I'm thinking about this correctly. As much as I would like to see Sauce Gardner, Quinlan Williams coming to the Chicago Bears, when you look at the price that these teams are paying for acquiring these players, it was going to be a little bit too steep. And you can sit here and you can look at Ryan Pohl's track record with drafts. Although, again, a lot of this is still yet to be determined. We don't know ultimately what the career is going to lead to Rome Odunze and Caleb and Colson Lovelin and Darnell Wright. And like you start like, hey, starting to stack some pretty good players, doing a pretty nice job in free agency too. When you think about how well the offensive line is played. And ultimately, when you're in a position like the Chicago Bears, and we'll get to this in a little bit, but like, at some point you got to be smart. Are you going to buy the accessories for the car before you buy the car? And I think for teams like the Indianapolis Colts, they wanted to go out there, they wanted to make a big splash, wanted to go out there and do what they did. It's fine. I'm not going to have any issue with that and let them go out there and do what they need to do. But ultimately, I think for the Chicago Bears, you went out there and you picked up a depth piece, somebody who'll join the rotation. I think there's still an opportunity to go out and find somebody on the streets. So ultimately, I'm not. It would have been fun to go out there and make a move, but would it have ultimately meant much to the Bears this season? I can't make that assessment. But we'll talk about it right now. Is Sammy? Let's go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to Bears Talk on a Tuesday. Our friend Nick Rohde will be joining us here in just a matter of moments. But first, I want to let everybody know that this show is brought to you by Windy City Sports Cards. At Windy City Sports Cards, we specialize in canceling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you're a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire, we've got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. And in addition to their Chicago-focused items, they have a wide variety of items outside of the Chicagoland area. If you want to go get a Shohei Ohtani card, maybe you're now a fan of Yoshi Yamamoto, Windy City Sports Cards has got you hooked up because they are the very best in the business, and we thank them for being a sponsor of this show. Now, again, talking about a big move, lots of big news in the NFL, not for the Bears, but for the NFL. And here to break it down, our friend from Just Another Year, Chicago, our co-host for the afternoon, Nick Rohde. Nick, how are you living?
I'm living pretty good. I can tell a lot of Bears Nation is upset, but I don't really understand why. And we'll break it down. But I'm actually very happy with how the Bears deadline went, all things considered. We didn't break the bank. We didn't mortgage the future. I think the Cowboys made a huge mistake, but I'm living great, a lot better than people in Dallas and New York right now.
When you think about the Dallas Cowboys, and I know a lot of people are going to want to focus in on the Chicago Bears, but listen, we're a sports show. We can talk sports. A lot of maneuvering. They got Quinlan Williams. They got Kenny Clark. I don't know. Couldn't you say the Cowboys are a little bit better defensively over just one Micah Parsons?
Well, I mean, the kryptonite to that whole defense, no matter how good it looks on paper, is a guy named Matt Eberflus, who unfortunately is leading the whole way, and we know him all too well. Right. But that defensive line in Dallas, man, I thought it was good for them. Like, they got a good player. That being said, $22 million cap hit next year, and that's the last year of that contract. Along with that, too, a little bit of an ego thing. He is a captain in New York. I don't know how that's going to work in Dallas. And then also, is it going to even work out? Is Dallas even going to make the playoffs with this team? I don't know. It's a fun move on paper, but was it a smart move? I don't really think so. I think that the Dallas Cowboys gave up way too much of the mortgage to go out and get a defensive lineman.
Jerry Jones is becoming that guy in your fantasy football league who's making trades just to make trades. Like you're like, hey, like, are you really getting better? Or are you just trying to stay in the headlines, which is something that he alluded to, that, hey, look at, we're never boring. We might not be a good football team, but we're never boring. And I'm like, well, if that's what you equate to as success, listen, Jerry Jones, it's your money. I would rather sit here and worry about a team that's trying to get a little bit better. And when you see George McCaskey, reacting the way that he did after Colson Lovelin scored that touchdown on Sunday, I know people will have people feel about George the way that they feel. I've always defended him. I always feel like ultimately at the end of the day, he wants the Bears to be great. He's not trying to be a controversial figure in Chicago. He just wants the Bears to feel great. What is your take on George McCaskey? And please be kind. Realize I'm still an employee of the NFL.
No, I like George. I think he's a nice guy. I had a chance to meet him at camp this past year. We had a nice minute conversation and people are walking by. So he cares about the fans. I know a lot of people might not think so, but he's a very generous guy. And at the end of the day, he's admitted himself, he is a fan. He is not a true NFL owner like some other people might be. But George has allowed himself to back away from making big decisions and letting football minds like Kevin Warren take over, like Ben Johnson, like Ryan Poles. And now your team is sitting at 5-3. And I said this when we got Ben Johnson, when a lot of people were like, wow, 7th highest paid head coach in the NFL, hasn't even been a head coach ever. You got to spend money to make money. And I think George realized that. I mean, the McCaskies, their assets are the Bears, nothing much else. So they're invested in this team just as much as everybody else. And on top of it too, he is a fan. Like, he's allowed to get emotional. He's allowed to care about this team because now he's seeing the success of a couple bad years, of the game plan that he's put together with Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren. I think I love it. When I saw him reacting like that, that made me feel a lot better about George McCaskey as a whole, even though I liked him a lot beforehand. I know a lot of people don't, but George McCaskey, that was awesome to see. And I couldn't be happier for him because his ability to back off is paying off big for the Bears.
No, I love it. And he's allowing the team to go out there and letting the football people make the decisions. And they made a decision today. They pick up a role player, which is fine. Didn't make a big splash, as we alluded to with some of the other teams. You said that you liked it. Why?
I like it because the problem that people aren't realizing is that the Bears only have $8.5 million in cap right now, and that's just working cap. You have to have that during the season. Along with that, too, we gave up a 6th, got a 7th back. So we didn't lose a pick. We just moved back and around. And what's really the big difference between 6 and 7 at that point? I know the kids are probably going to go crazy after that comment, but you get an edge that has experience, was the 32nd overall pick a few years back. Did have some decent seasons. In 2022, he had 4 sacks with 14 quarterback hits. And in 2023, he had 5 sacks. Yes, he only had 7 quarterback hits, but he's always had someone in front of him, unfortunately. He didn't blossom in the Tampa Bay defense like they wanted him to, but still a very solid player. He had 12.5 sacks at Washington during his sophomore year. And a lot of people don't know that too. Is that he only played 2 years in college. So Dennis Allen gets a guy at 6'5", 260 that comes in, plays a depth role, which I think is even more important. He's not a starter because that allows Austin Booker now to be a starter with Montez Sweat. We brought in Booker for that reason. We like what he's done. He had a great game against the Bengals. If he stays healthy, we get to see what we've drafted. And also, he's only on a 1-year contract. You don't like him after, or not, you don't like him, but he doesn't perform after.
Right.
Walks in free agency, and you still have all your same amount of draft picks that you had before you got him. So I thought it was a great move by Ryan Poles. And Dio is still on contract for 2 more years. And if the Bears were to cut him next year, that's $22 million. So the Bears are invested in him no matter what, because they're not going to take on $22 million in dead cap. So I like the move. Dio's still going to be around next year, but we needed someone instantly to come in because we lost Shamar Turner too. So you bring in a guy with experience, low risk, high reward move, and I liked it a lot.
Do you think there's anything, because obviously Dennis Allen was a head coach in the NFC South. He got an opportunity to see him twice a year. Could this be a thing where Dennis Allen has seen something in this player where he's like, you know what? I could probably make something of that.
100%. He went against him 8 times during his time with the New Orleans Saints, and he got to see what he could do. And, Adam, I did a little digging, and out of his 15 career sacks, 4 of them came against the Saints. So maybe he was putting on a little bit of a show for Dennis Allen. But Dennis Allen likes big defensive edges, 6'5", 260. And a lot of people were like, he is not big. I'm sorry. When did 6'5", 260 become small? Because I'm 5'9" and a half, 185 wet. And I am that if I'm a small person then, if that is considered an average size person. It's crazy. Fans just wanted a big name. We got a big name from a depth perspective and a lot of low risk, high reward.
Yeah, I think that's the way that it was going to go. I think that when you started to listen to some of the offers or some of the demands that teams were making for players, because we didn't see Breece Hall move. We didn't see a lot of names. We did see Rashid Shaheed go to Seattle, so that was kind of an interesting move. I actually really like that one for them. We saw Jacoby Myers go to the Las Vegas Raiders, but with us not doing anything, I know it's not as sexy, but you could also be a fan of the New York Jets. What do you make of what's going on with the New York Jets? What is happening out there?
I had a chance to text my good friend Sean. He's from New York, and he is unfortunately a Jets fan, as he says. And when the trade happened with Sauce, he was like, good. I was like, what do you mean good? He's like, Sauce has been underperforming for his contract, and we just signed it this year. We got 2 first-round picks and a wide receiver out of it. And Aaron Glenn, now this is his team. Now the Jets have the opportunity to build it his way. I mean, they have 3 first-round picks that they have over the next couple of years. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They have 3 first-round picks this year with the Dallas trade as well. I like all their moves. I really do. I mean, I was kind of shocked that they kept Hall, to be honest with you. Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of teams aren't going to give up a 3rd-round pick, because then they look at Kyle Manungai, who the Bears got in the 7th round, who ripped it up against the Bengals, and be like, okay, I can just draft someone in the 7th round then. Even though that's rare. You don't spend big money on a running back anymore. Let him hit free agency. Someone will pick him up. He's going to go somewhere, or the Jets will end up keeping him. And it didn't seem like he wanted to leave New York anyway. He kind of sent out a meme earlier that kind of was hinting that he was staying. And hopefully there weren't any Madden trades put in the front office before these happened. But if you know, you know. But anyway, I think the Jets made the right call selling. They're not looking good this year. This is a really loaded draft class for what you can do defensively and offensively. And this kind of kickstarts maybe a quick rebuild for the Jets.
Now, it's funny, too, because I was sitting in the NFL Network newsroom this morning, and Mike Garafolo was out. He's out in Los Angeles right now, or Inglewood at least. And he was sitting, he goes, oh, my gosh. And we're like, what is it? And he goes, Sauce Gardner just tweeted out, it's been real, New York. And we had not gotten word. We didn't know where he was going. So it was kind of fun connecting the pieces. And at first you're like, Bears? But then you see it was a couple of first-round picks. The Colts feel like they are in the middle of it. It's an interesting time for the Colts to be making this move because, apparently they still believe in Daniel Jones. And they still, if Daniel Jones ends up being exposed like he was on Sunday against Pittsburgh, and you're like, oh, wait, he's not the guy. And now you've shipped off 2 first-round picks without the ability to go out there and draft the quarterback. I kind of hope that's the case because I'm an evil person, and I would kind of just laugh if it just blows up like that and it's like, well, Anthony Richardson's starting again or something like that, and you gave up 2 first-round picks, would be pretty entertaining. But again, I think for ultimately the Bears did the right thing to hold on and see what happens. Now you're going to have your draft capital there. Again, I mentioned this, and I wasn't even putting this in the lens of the Bears. I was just like, hey, I think most teams saw the price tag of 2 first-round picks and a wide receiver, and they're like, yeah, we're good. We don't want Sauce Gardner. Colts fans are very defensive. Very defensive about that. Oh, who do the Bears? I'm like, this isn't even about the Bears. It's about what you guys gave up. Don't just because I'm a Bears fan doesn't mean you pull me into it. But it is something too. And I do know for fantasy, for the Jets this year, normally the Jets defense was consider pretty good. If you're starting somebody against the Jets, you're going to bench them. But now I know this week it's Cleveland, so maybe it's not necessarily like start all your Cleveland Browns. Speaking of Cleveland Browns, I'm going to be in Chicago on December 13th at Twisted Shamrock. I am flying in that Saturday afternoon, and we're going to be at the Twisted Shamrock, the place where you need to be if you're a true fan of Chicago sports. Whether you are a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, or Fire, you should be watching the games at Twisted Shamrock. They've got monster TVs in the private party room, main bar, and outside on their stellar patio. Swing by Twisted Shamrock, where Chicago sports come together. I will be there December 13th, that afternoon, right after I land at Midway. Let me ask you, if I book my flight out of Chicago at 6 p.m. on Sunday, am I going to be flying too close to the sun? Game ends at 3. Got to walk to the orange line. Will I get to my flight in time? It's Midway. Is it too close?
Midway's small. Do you have TSA pre-check?
Of course.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
No carry-on bags.
It takes me 45 minutes to get to O'Hare on the Blue Line from my apartment. And if my flight is leaving in an hour and a half, I'm still in my apartment. So that's O'Hare, another beast. So you'll be totally fine at Midway. We'll
be good. I'm going to fly close to the sun. I'm upset that the NFL Network won't I was like, hey, can I do the show on Monday from Bears, from Hallis Hall? And they're like, well, what are you going to do on Tuesday? Like the NFL Network, they just they'll work with everybody else. But for me, they're like, nope, get back.
It would actually make more sense for you to go to Hallis Hall on Monday because then you're closer to O'Hare. You have more options at flights, and then you can fly out that night.
You're face the congregation because the choir agrees with you. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, call Roger Goodell and get that. So I think that we're okay. The Bears not really breaking the bank for anybody at the trade deadline. Do want to take an opportunity. This will be our last chance to kind of look back at what happened on Sunday. We haven't even talked about that right now. I was on the fantasy show on today, Tuesday, whenever you're listening to this. My colleague, Marcus Grant, was on the show today, and he goes, yeah, Kyle Manungai is a mirage. He's never doing that again. And I'm like, I bit my tongue. Kyle Manungai, who has scored 17 fantasy points in 2 out of his last 3 games now. What do we make of the Kyle Manungai true breakout game? Obviously, DeAndre Swift was not on the field, but Kyle Manungai had been steadily inserting himself into the Bears roster. What do we make of Kyle Manungai moving forward?
I love that guy. Like literally, and you know the meme where it's like, I love you. He goes, I'm literally Kyle Manungai. Well, I love Kyle Manungai. I mean, what he did against the Bengals, keep in mind, I'm trying to pump the internal brakes a little bit, but it's hard not to be excited about him, is that he did go against a 32nd rushing defense, but he did what he was supposed to do against that defense. He saw holes really well, honestly, better than DeAndre Swift. Angry runs every single time. I mean, he averaged 6.8 yards per carry. Every single time he touched the ball, something good was going to happen. And he didn't even have a touchdown. So I think Kyle Manungai definitely is showing he can be the real deal because 2 weeks before, he was ripping it up against the Saints, another bad defense. So he's doing it where he has to. This was valuable reps for him. He gained a ton of confidence. He's understanding the speed of the NFL a lot better. And this upcoming weekend against the Giants, I mean, why not? I mean, the Bears are at home, finally. Last 4 out of the last 5 games have been on the road. But he's back at home. He's going to be feeding off that Soldier Field energy. And also the great thing about this entire situation is that we got him for a 7th. And I think it's hilarious that it was the Bengals pick that actually used on Kyle Manungai. But this allows DeAndre Swift to sit out another week if he has to heal up that groin injury, because that's going to be a dynamic 1-2 duo. I don't see the Bears getting rid of Swift next year. I see them keeping him. That said, who's going to be the starter? It doesn't matter. They're both going to get a lot of touches here. We saw Britton Brown, who averaged over 7 yards a carry, had his first career touchdown as well, which I hope the Bears keep him on the roster too. But Kyle Manungai is everything that you want out of a running back. He's bouncing off defenders. You can do that in any game. Like, doesn't matter if you're the first or the 32nd ranked defense. You're going to bounce off guys the same way. Along with that too, you're going to be able to hit the gap like he did. And as fast as he is, I don't know how he registered a 4.5 40 because he was an absolute rocket ship against the Bengals. So I think that he'll do it again. He's going to face a bigger challenge with the Giants defensive front, but I still see him putting up, let's say, over 75 yards. And I would be ecstatic about that. But he did what he was supposed to do against a bad defense. It was a confidence builder for him, valuable touches. And now it allows Ben Johnson and Eric Bieniemy to game plan a little bit more with him, and especially in specific situations. So I think that he's going to do something like that again very soon here.
It's hilarious to me because the Bears seem to be like the only team, at least to my knowledge, where everything has to be couched with the opponent that they play. And it's like, I'm sorry, they didn't create the schedule. They're still going up against professional teams. Other teams have played the Cincinnati Bengals. You didn't discredit Jordan Love or Josh Jacobs or anybody like that. You didn't, he's playing the Bengals. You're like, oh, what a great player he is. The Bears always get that kind of asterisks.
The Bears tax.
To their name. Yeah, Bears tax. Nobody can ever enjoy anything that they're doing. You got to always count, it's not good. Similarly, another guy who we've not been able to enjoy is Colson Lovelin. And Colson Lovelin he himself had a true breakout game. And now, again, people are like, well, it's the Bengals, but like it still happened. He's still making the plays. He still ran through all those players. What do we make of Colson Lovelin? Because, again, people are like, I'm not, it's the Bengals, Bears tax, not buying it. I'm fully in on Colson Lovelin. And I know that I'm not helping my case out, but I'm like, he's very Gronk-like to me, but people don't want to hear that. What is your assessment of Colson Lovelin?
Tyler Warren has not had that big of a game this year. In one game, Colson Lovelin has already almost caught up to his receiving stats. He has more yards per catch, and he had 2 touchdowns in a game. Yes, Tyler Warren can do that. No doubt about it. But Colson Lovelin's blocking was electric. I mean, again, you're going against professionals. You're going against defensive linemen that are 6'5", 300-plus pounds. And Colson Lovelin at 6'6", 258, I believe he registered at before the game. He was blocking guys, pancaking them, going downfield, and looking absolutely solid. Ben Johnson has done this in phases with this offense. And that was the next one. And also the step-up mentality. Cole Kmet left the game early, still with that injury. We find out tomorrow about it. But Colson Lovelin said, okay, I'm the guy. And now Caleb Williams has a ton of trust in him. He said it in his post-game interview. But how many people, like you said, against national football players, some of the best athletes in the world, can catch that football on a dime in that small window that Caleb threw it in, be able to shake off 2 defenders, and then outrace at 6'6" a small defensive back that runs a much faster 40 than you. He kicked it into gear, put the afterburners on, and he showed his athleticism. And now everyone's hating on it because they're like, oh, snap, now Colson Lovelin looks really good. I've been saying I hate him the entire season. He's a bust. How am I going to get under his skin? He doesn't care. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. The blocking has been there all season long. The toughness has been there all season long. And now Ben Johnson will be like, I need to involve that guy in the game plan, just like I was saying with Kyle Manungai. Colson Lovelin's the real deal. I don't care who he did it against. You're in the NFL. You're doing it against professionals. You play to win the game like the Bengals were doing, especially in that situation. Colson Lovelin's the man. And anyone that's hating on him is just because they're trying not to back up and say, oh, well, it was a rough. No, you said you hated him. You said he was a bust. Stick with your guns. Bears fans, we knew what we got in him. Guy is absolutely electric. And that was just one game.
Yeah, I really loved him. And coming into the draft season, when I was doing my mock draft with a twist, I had Colson Lovelin going 8 overall to the Carolina Panthers. I thought like that would have been a good mix for them. Now, obviously, Taylor McMillan has done a nice job for them. So it wasn't like they whiffed on a pick or anything like that. But at the same time, I still had a high regard for Colson Lovelin. I thought that Tyler Warren would go higher. Actually, I thought Jacksonville or somebody would have been in the mix for him too for Tyler Warren. But obviously they traded up for Travis Hunter. That to me, so it's funny to me that the Bears get us grief for like, hey, you took Colson Lovelin. Sure. But like, what about Jacksonville? Jacksonville could have stayed at 5, drafted Tyler Warren instead of Travis Hunter, and probably would have been better off. And that is a divisional opponent. But the Colts fans won't point at a rival in their division, instead want to go after the Bears or even go after the Panthers and say, look, you took McMillan, could have had him. You could have done this. There's a lot of different ways. I mean, you could do this over and over again. Somebody the other day was like, hey, I would have rather have had Drake May and Brock Bowers. I'm like, stop moving the goalpost, because Brock Bowers, when he was drafted, you could have made the Jalen Carter was a bigger need. Darnell Wright has actually been playing such great football.
Lights out. Great football.
So, and it's going to be one of those things too. If you ever make that comparison, well, who do the Raiders, what linemen do the Raiders have? Like what is the Raiders pick this year? Like that's the comparison. Would you rather have Darnell Wright and Colson Lovelin or Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers? Like that'll be the conversation. And again, I'm not writing it off. Ashton Genty actually did have a nice game this weekend. We'll be able to talk about that in the near future. But man, like these comparisons just get so tiresome. And I'm tired of having these conversations over and over again. And all these teams coming out of the woodwork. Like it's funny. And I don't mean to say I'm not even going to touch it. Forget it. But it is interesting. Well, it's interesting because now the Bears could have had Drake May. Like you were not saying Drake May a season ago. Like you were moving down the line because the other guy has been injured. So now you got to move the goalpost, be like, well, you could have had him. And again, I'm still not ready to have this guy. I still a lot of football to be played. And, but it's great. It's great to see Kyle Manungai going out there. It's great to see Colson Lovelin. But before we get to Rome Odunze, I got to let everybody know that Crown Champs has dropped the hottest thing that fantasy football has ever seen. We're talking about a real handcrafted premium championship crown. It's just $2.99 a month per person, and rack up points and win weekly challenges, get voted as king, queen, trash talker, and unlock real life merch at crownchampscompany.com. That's crownchampscompany.com. Don't sit there and settle for a cheap plastic trophy or a lame old GG in the group chat after you win your fantasy football league. That ain't it. Go to crownchampscompany.com. Get yourself a real handcrafted premium championship crown so you don't just win your fantasy football league, you rule it. And also a quick shout out to our friends at Huel. Huel has been getting me by over the last couple of weeks. Last night, racing from the NFL Network studios to Cal State Fullerton to go call game 1 of the Cal State Fullerton men's basketball season. I downed one of these bottles on my drive, on my seemingly 2-hour commute to go 20 miles. I had one of these, kept me going throughout the entirety of the game. And one of the great things about Huel is that you can get 15% off if you're a new customer by using the code SICKBEARS at Huel.com/sickbears. That's Huel.com/sickbears. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. It honestly is the best protein powder meal supplement. 400 calories, 35 grams of protein. It'll keep you sorted. So before we let you go, because we got to talk about this, Rome Odunze's dad is now, I don't understand why this is happening after a win. Like when Marvin Harrison Sr. is popping off, first of all, that's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. And knowing what we know about Marvin Harrison Sr., you probably don't want to mess with him. So that makes sense. The Cardinals were on a losing skid. Their guy was not being utilized. Rome Odunze, even though he had 0 points or nothing on Sunday, the Bears are winning, and he's been an active participant. I know Joey Sandwich is upset because we're making too much of this. What do you make of the whole Rome Odunze thing and what his dad's been getting out there?
Well, first of all, Rome had 3 drops on Sunday, one of them being in the end zone. So you can't blame anybody but himself on that one. Second of all, I just can't believe how parents are getting involved in this now. This feels like when I was in high school and someone would be like, play my kid more. Like this is the NFL. Rome leads the Bears in wide receiver yards. He leads them in receiving touchdowns. And you can't blame anyone but himself if he's going to drop 3-4 passes a game. And you have to spread the ball out. There's no Roman team. There is everybody involved. So the whole thing, when I saw that, I was like, come on, you did this last year. And now you're doing it with a good coaching staff, a good team. Don't mess with the mojo. And I have a feeling someone's going to ask Rome about it in the locker room this week. And I would like to hear his reaction. And maybe he talked to his dad or anything like that. But Rome is clearly happy to be here.
Yeah.
And no outside noise should be saying, no, he's not. If you want your son traded, keep it behind closed doors. There's not much more to say to it. But, when your son does have an easy touchdown dropped in the end zone, and then you have 2 other open catches that you drop as well, it's kind of your fault that he didn't have any receptions on. It's not like he's getting a bonus or a game check or anything that we know of, at least, but who cares? He still has 5 receiving touchdowns this year, and we've only played 8 games. We still have 9 more games to go this year. He's going to get more touchdowns. He's going to get more touches. Rome should be coming out saying, yeah, I had a bad game. I still love being here. Let's call it a day. I just think that the whole parents thing is getting out of hand. We've seen Caleb's dad talk about it on Twitter too. And I'm like, do they just sit there and just be like, how can I start up some controversy today? Just stop it. Just stop it. We're winning. We're 5-3. We won 5 of our last 6. Don't mess with the mojo. And if Rome's saying it, different story. But no, stay out of it. Let your son do his work. If I was at work and my dad decided to stir up some stuff, I'd be like, Pops, stay out of it. Like, go cut the grass or something. Clear your head. But that's all I had. So when I saw that, I thought it was completely ridiculous.
It's funny too, because you give them too much credit when you say high school. I equate it more to AYSO. That is like more of an AYSO thing. So it's like, Mr. James Odunze, why don't you pass out some orange slices and pipe down? And if you ever watch, go back, and I would implore anybody right now, I'm sure you've seen it 100 times. Go watch Colson Lovelin's winning touchdown reception. Watch Rome Odunze at first throws a block, not a great block, but the guy that he was engaged with wasn't really a threat, I don't think, to catch Colson Lovelin, but his first instinct is to block him. So Rome Odunze is blocking his guy. The first person who approaches Colson Lovelin is Rome Odunze. So it's not like he was like sulked, didn't block, didn't celebrate. He's really happy. And I haven't had a lot of interactions with Rome Odunze. I haven't hung out with him or anything like that, but I've spent time with him. He's a delightful human being. He's a really nice person. And I think that, I don't know, I don't want to speak about the family dynamic, but I know that sometimes, like, and again, as somebody who coaches 10-year-old and 6-year-old kids, 7-year-old kids, I know that sometimes these parents or these kids get embarrassed by their parents. Yeah. I know one kid in particular who's always being like, I wish my mom would stop yelling at me. And I'm like, I've got you. I have to. I do this. I will go up. Actually, there's another kid too, where it's like, I have to tell the dad, like, hey, stop it. Like, I got this. I'm coaching the team. You are not.
Have you ever seen the Sopranos, Adam?
Of course.
Do you remember when they go on the soccer field? He goes, "This is my field. I got this." Like, yeah, exactly. Like, if I would love Ben Johnson to say something and be like, yeah, whatever. If parents have concern about their child's gameplay, please come to me. Come on. Come to me. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Usually, that was the kind of, this is the whole thing about social media, is that so much of it we would never hear about because it would be something that would be said in some tavern in Sandwich, and we would never have to hear from you. But now every crazy person from Oswego to Sterling to Indiana now has a opportunity to go amplify their message, and when they probably shouldn't have that access. But listen, gonna wrap it right here. I want to thank you for coming on. I know, like, there was so much going on. I thought we were going to spend, this morning, I'm like, we're going to talk about this game and really break it down, because Tuesday is the one, like, our final look back before Wednesday night. We start looking ahead, and tomorrow Greg Braggs might be here, but I stiffed him again to go do the Cal State Fullerton game. So there's a real good chance that he returns the favor in kind. But take it to the rank. We'll be back. This time I will call Nick. If Greg stiffs us, I will call you this time and we can take live questions and all that stuff. But I want to thank you for being here. Where can everybody find your work again?
JShy_Bears on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Just Another Year Chicago Bears on YouTube. J Chicago Bears on Instagram, and now on the TikTok at JShyBears.
Love it. All right, so go check that out. And for Nick, I'm Adam. Bear down, and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.